Chani, nice to meet you. Thank you for coming on to the Rachalea podcast. Welcome.
Hi, I'm excited to be here.
First of all, guys, I was just, when Chani came onto my screen, I was just like shocked by how beautiful she is. And I cannot believe that that's a wig. It is magnificent. This is enough marketing for you just for people to see that it just looks so real. And
Thank
it's
you. We
curly,
tried.
it's beautiful. I also want to thank you for being a sponsor of this show. It's been amazing to have you on as a partner. And I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about your company and why you started your company. But the reason I was so interested in your brand, in your company that you founded with your mother, you're going to tell us about that, was that I'm from Chabad, Jewish woman, as you are, right? You're Chabad.
Yes, I'm Chabad and proud.
Nice. Me too. I love that. I'm also Chabad and proud. And I'm going to ask you all the questions about you. I'd like to get to know you. I love female founders. It's so brave of you. Um, I'm sure I've heard from family members and friends that running a business is really not for the faint of heart. It's hard. So we're going to get
Yes.
to that. But I was interested in your brand specifically because I am a Chabad Jewish frum woman. I cover my hair. I'm wearing a wig. Although it's not as nice as yours.
No,
I
yours
am
is
wearing a wig.
gorgeous too. It's
Thanks.
just different hair texture, but it's stunning as well.
Yeah. I have to come get one from you. But I was interested in
Listen.
your brand because I hear, and it really makes me upset and sad. And I don't really know the solution. I'm sure I'm going to have to interrogate you that you know more about this than I do. But a lot of Jewish women come to me so upset that they can't afford a nice wig. I'm talking hundreds. Like
Yep.
it makes them sad. It's so interesting that, listen, of course, the business is a business. It's not like, come get a wig because God told us to cover our hair, come get, for free. That's not going to happen. But
Right.
it's, it's interesting. And it could be that wigs are expensive for a reason. It could just be, I'm going to ask you about this because you've opened up this option for women that's different. But it's amazing to me, or it's fascinating to me and hard to understand that God gave us this mitzvah, this commandment. And for everyone who's watching, we have a lot of non-Jews who watch or people who didn't grow up like we did. So God gave us this commandment to cover our hair in the Torah. It's a mitzvah d'oraisa, it's a mitzvah from the Torah to cover our hair after marriage. We're both married. And it's amazing to me in sometimes a negative way that you need a lot of money to keep a mitzvah, that
Yep.
and to feel beautiful keeping the mitzvah. We're both women. Beauty is important to women. I was just speaking to someone who stopped covering her hair completely, and she's a Chabad religious Orthodox woman. She completely took off her wig because
Oh
she's
my.
so frustrated. She spent a lot of money on a wig, and the upkeep is expensive. And then the hair got like hard or something, and they wanted thousands of dollars to fix it, and she couldn't buy a new one. She said, "I'm done." So
It
that's
breaks
why I
my heart
wanted.
when I hear
It's
that.
heartbreaking.
It's like why? Like why did it have to come to
Do you
that?
hear that from women too?
The pressure I have for when people come into my salon, like you're the last resort before I decide to take it off. And that
Wow.
is so much pressure. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to go out of my way. I go out of my way for everyone. But when I hear that, it's like, okay, God is putting me here for a reason. Even it's difficult color, difficult, whatever. We're going to make this work because this is not happening. Like, she's not going to feel that way. And thank God, I would say all the people who did come, they'd message me all the time. Connie, I'm still wearing my hair. I love it.
Wow.
Or people who decided to cover after October 7. I have a lot
Mhm.
of those that
Really? Are
felt
there a
like they
lot of women
wanted,
who wanted to cover after October 7th?
yeah, they felt like they needed to do something because that was like attack on our nation and they wanted to feel connected. And like I have one girl I have in mind that she works with men and she was so worried. She's like, I don't want to look like I'm wearing a wig. And she has like a nice afro. It was stunning.
Wow.
Um, to the point that like I did it and her husband was talking to her for 25 minutes and didn't realize it was a wig. And so she
Oh my
felt
gosh.
yeah, so she felt so comfortable. She went and got a second one in like 2 months span because she's like, okay, I can do this. I can look like myself. I can be beautiful and it's not crazy expensive. My husband was so happy with the price. And like I can do the mitzvah also and feel beautiful. Like there's so many factors into this mitzvah that I feel like people don't understand all the time. It's not just the wig, it's upkeep of the wig. It's the, feeling I remember when I got married, I did not like my wig at all. I had
Really?
identity crisis at 20. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh my
So,
gosh. Wow. Okay. Let
so
me ask you about all of this. So tell me, tell me about your brand. Why did you start it? Tell me, I said your name is Hani, but tell me about your brand. Tell everyone what it's called, why you started it, because you are doing something revolutionary. I heard about you through other women who were like, you have to meet Hani. I mean, they
Feel so
said
honored.
Sheeba at the
Wow.
time. Really, really, you're changing women's lives. So tell me why you started this brand, what your brand is all about. And then we'd love to hear about your identity crisis. I love a good
Oh my
identity
gosh,
crisis.
yeah. So like I'm a real person, okay? I'm not someone up there. I'm a regular girl, went to high school, was in college at the time. I went for a dietitian actually, and totally
Wow.
nothing to do with wigs at all. I always said like I never want to be a wig maker, like everyone does that. Like I want to be different. Little do you know, God always like puts you in the place you need to be and
True.
do like, at the right place, right time. Like it's crazy that I would never think that this is what I'm doing. So my name is Khani, but I'm called Sheba, and people do call me Sheba because of my brand. I'm also
Mm.
an influencer, so that's where the name come from. It was actually part of Malka Shva, who is Shlomo Melech's wife. I thought she was very smart, and I was in high school at the time learning about her. So I decided to like name my
Wow.
Instagram after
I
her.
love that.
Yeah. And then when, years down the line, I thank God got engaged and got married, and I was so excited, wig shopping, like you think it's so cool, trying on your mom's wigs. And then all of a sudden it's not a costume, like you're really doing it.
Yeah.
And so I went to a place. They were honestly really nice. It just I don't think they understood um what curls are. And a lot of girls here also when they come in, it's like, oh my God, she has curly hair, so she'll understand. So when I
True.
said curly, it was like three waves on the bottom. And I'm like, okay, like you
Oh,
feel embarrassed, pressured, so many people at the same time. My mom didn't know better, even though she always knew hair. It was always something my mom loved to do. And she just, we just kind of went with it. And then I remember in Sharbrach, it's like my own husband was like, um, so are you like straightening it just for Sharbrachas? Or are you always like, no, this is my wig, don't talk about it. Like, I just don't want to look at myself. And I was like, I was struggling. Like, people would
that's
ignore me.
terrible. You had just got married.
Yeah, so imagine like everyone knows you for your super curly hair and like blonde and whatever, and then all of a sudden like people just pass by you and they're like, I didn't recognize you. I'm like, literally it was like, you're lying. Like, come on, it's me. How do you not recognize me? Until it happened to my own brother, and then I was like, whoa,
Oh my
okay.
gosh.
He didn't recognize me from the back. So I was like, okay, so people really don't realize that it's me.
Did
And
this
so
make
I
you
like
resent the mitzvah? Did this make you feel like negative about it?
Yeah, and my mom, being amazing that she is, she's always been trying. So she tried to crimp it, and she tried to put products, and we even tried to perm it, like to make it curly. And like when you put so much money and effort and it just doesn't work, like it just
Yes.
not. And then being a college student, me and my husband, I literally make so little. And I was like, I'm never going to be able to buy one of those wigs. Like a curly wig at the time was skin tops. It was no lace. I'm married
Yeah.
7 years. So it was about, I would say, quoted like seven at the time for just a skin top, curly and
Seven
grand.
$7,000
Yeah.
for a curly skin top wig.
Oh, also because I was blonde. So blonde apparently
Oh
is more.
my. So they wanted you to pay $7,000 for a blonde, curly skin top wig. And this is how long after you got married?
This, I would say, 6 months to maybe a year in. Then my
That's
mom was trying to
crazy.
make me happy because she realized that I really wasn't. And I'm the only daughter, so she was willing to go far, but I would never ever let her pay such a price. Also, because just like I'm like, it can't like I would be like, I
It's
told her like it's
insane.
more than my ring. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no way. Like, no.
It's crazy.
It's literally insane. And so my mom is Brazilian and she knows the industry there. My grandparents have been part of the fashion industry. My mom's a Balchuva, and so
Oh,
she had family connections and she's like, how about we like try to make something in Brazil? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, like I'll source the hair, I'll get it, we'll do it. And
you have
I
an
did my,
amazing mother. Wow.
she went above
She
and
did this for
beyond. I
you.
hope I can be a quarter of her for my like kids
Wow.
because she literally like saw how unhappy and she wanted me to be happy while covering because I was like struggling. I couldn't even look in the mirror. Like my photos, I was just like,
That's
whatever.
terrible. That's
Um,
terrible.
so yeah, I was like, I'm like done, like spraying and scrunching and air dry was a thing. So, but it wasn't scrunching. It wasn't doing anything. It was literally like your wig.
It wasn't scrunching. No, but listen, our hair is a huge part of our identity. And if after you got married,
Yeah.
you want to be happy, you want to enjoy a new married life, and people didn't recognize you. That's really difficult to not feel like yourself.
Yeah, like people were
In the
like,
name
I
of
look
Judaism.
older. Yeah, like everyone think you look older, you look more mature, you look I don't know, so serious and your personality is so like bubbly and out there. And I'm just like everyone's telling me these things while I
You're
just
like,
got married
thanks.
and I'm like, okay.
Wow, that's tough. Okay, so your mom had this idea. Okay, sorry, I cut you off. Continue.
No, totally fine. So she just had this idea, let's do it in Brazil. So I did. And honestly, everyone was asking me where that chiclet was from. And I didn't say anything. I just said like, oh, my mom made it, whatever. Like I kind of just like nonchalant kind of like said that.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friends, I was the first friend to get married. So my friends kind of got married like a year after, a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so they were like, honey, like your wig is so beautiful. It's air dry. Also, my friends have curly hair. And they're like, can you help us? And I was
Wow.
like, I don't know, like, am I? Like, I'm not
Can I
sure.
help you?
So I went to my mom and she's like, yeah, let's do it. If it worked for you, if we can save people money, why not? Also, like, it's expensive and here wasn't so expensive. So my mom helped these girls as well. Like one was a redhead, which they were quoting her so much money. And it wasn't, again, Least Stop, I think only came out like Corona time, I would say, if I'm like allowed to say that. Corona or a little like after. And so yeah, it's not like I'm saying lease. Maybe you want to say it's more expensive, blah blah blah. But we got married 5 years ago, right before
Yes.
Corona. It's still skin tops we're talking about. So it's
And
not
even
like
then, they were expensive.
completely. It was insane. Um, and so my mom decided to do it for my friends, and then pop went the idea of, do you think we should do this for people? I looked at my mom, I'm like,
Wow.
you literally are 25 years in Wall Street. You sure you want to leave? And I was like
Wow.
doing a side job and dietitian. Um, and she's like, my mom being the Balchuba that she is. I love her for that. Let's ask the Rebbe.
That was
So
going to be my next question. Okay, wow. So just before you talk about the Rebbe, so this is an amazing story. So you faced this issue where you had this beautiful curly hair and you had just gotten married. You want to enjoy married life. You were very young also.
yeah,
And I mean, I think that's a great thing, but you get married and then you don't feel like yourself. And when you want to feel like yourself, people are asking for $7,000, which is, Hani, so many women are going to relate to this. I relate to this, but I don't want to interject here. So your mom just kind of helps you figure this out on her own because she's this amazing Wall Street go-getter, and then your
boss
friends see
lady.
this, and you start making wigs for them as well.
Correct. So like if we were
Wow.
getting married, they also didn't have the money. Their parents didn't have the money. My mom and parents knew they were.
Yes.
And she's like, let's do it. So she helped
Okay.
them.
Okay. And where does the Rebbe come into this?
Okay. So my mom doesn't do anything without the Rebbe. And somehow my mom is
I
the
love
coolest
that.
person that she gets the answers also. Like I like beg
Is
for
she
this
one of those people who gets the answers? I'm
all
not.
the time. I'm
It's
like
really
literally I'll
annoying.
tell her like you open the ears for me because you get it and I don't. Or like she'll go to the aisle and somehow see a video of the Rebbe like literally answering what she asked about. And I'm like,
Wow.
I don't understand. Like, why am I not that cool?
A
But
holy woman. Okay, just to interject again, excuse me for my interjecting. If people don't
yeah,
understand what
yeah.
we're talking about, so a lot of Jews, not just Chabad Jews, Lubavitcher Jews, they will, when they're having, when they kind of want guidance or direction, they'll write a letter to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rebbe, and then they'll put that letter into one of his books, which are a compilation of his letters to other people, 20, 30, not 20, 30 something years ago. And then we kind of see what the Rebbe says about our question, right? Okay. So that's what you're
Yes.
talking about when your
Yep.
mother wrote to the Rebbe. Okay.
So my mom, yeah, so we didn't go to the aisle for this one, but we definitely she has a whole library of just the Rebbe Ziggers. Like,
Love
so
it.
she popped one out and she said, okay, I'm gonna ask the Rebbe, are you ready? I was like, oh no, like I was nervous because she's like, "Oh, should we do this?" And I was like, no, I don't think so. Like I'm just becoming like a dietitian. Like I'm like, I don't want to be a Scheitelmacher. That word to me, I'm just like, like,
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I'm asking. Once we ask, And we're answered like we're going, like whatever it is, yes or no, like you got to be
Wow.
ready. So I was like,
Wow.
shoot, okay, like I guess here we are. And so she
Wow.
opened it. We actually have it printed because it's crazy. My mom got a letter how the Rebbe was talking about women covering her hair and
No.
how it should be with a shaitel and how it should be like, beautiful and women should feel beautiful in it and everything and all those details and how you should do a shaitel. And my mom literally looked at me and she was like, "You ready?" I'm like, "I guess."
Oh
And
my
that's how we
gosh.
started, literally with the Rebbe's bracha. This Sheeba Wigs is on the Rebbe's bracha. Anytime someone tells me otherwise on something, I'm like, I have the Rebbe's bracha, so I
Do you
don't
see
care what
that
you
in
say.
your in the growth of your company? Do you feel that blessing
Every day,
in your life?
literally every day.
Really?
Like the people who walk in here, I'm just like, oh my God, the Rebbe literally like is with us, like through like different scenarios. Or like when, we're gonna get later into this, but like because affordable and all of these different things, people do tend to bring you down. And you're just like, shoot, am I doing the right thing? Am I, and then like the Rebbe's right there, like showing you like you are. Don't care about what people say.
Wow. Wow. I'm going to ask you about that in a minute because I actually did not know that. I wasn't expecting that. I can't imagine anyone having any negative comments about your work. When I found out about you, because people were like, you have to get in touch with this woman. She's changing this shaitel, like the wig industry. I was just like, wow, that's so cool. It gave me hope. Okay, I'm going to ask you about that in a minute.
Go
But
for it.
so you have this amazing story. What were your priorities when you opened up this wig company? So the Rebbe gave you his bracha, and then when you went into it, what were your intentions behind opening? There's a million different sheitel machers. Sheitel macher means
Yep.
women who I guess
Sell wigs or
sell
make
wigs.
wigs.
Yeah. So some sell, some make. So what were your so there's so many people who do this. What do we need another one for? But obviously yours is
Correct.
different. What were your intentions going into creating a new sheitel business?
So I would say like my mom's analogy was always like everyone can be a Gucci and we'll just be the Zara, which I don't mind because I buy Zara all the time. So that was her analogy. Like I want to be the Zara where everyone can afford it and feel beautiful at the same time,
I love
you
your
know?
mom.
So she was, yeah, she's the, I wish like she would be on here with me, but she's more camera shy. So um that's what she was her intention that everyone who's going to walk into this room is going to be able to walk out with something that they love. And if it needs to be a payment plan, we'll do a payment plan. If it needs to be usually like for people who are like, shulchas or this, we automatically do like complete different, things for them so they can, they're our representation of Chabad. So they always need to look beautiful. Sometimes I saw
Oh,
certain things, I'm like, how? They're like, we just can and we rather do our shulchas and whatever. And I was like, no, like we're
wow.
gonna change this. And that was our goal. And Baruch Hashem, I remember the first person that walked into my salon. She had this reddish wig, reddish short. And I looked at her and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I don't have red yet. I'm still searching for red colors. If you want, we can make a custom order. She was like, oh no, I'm not red. I'm a regular brown.
Oh,
But I just chose for my kids to have food versus me to look good. And I,
oh
I
my
literally
gosh.
started crying. I was like, oh my God, like this is not, are we for real? And I was still young
That's
then.
actually
Like I just had,
heartbreaking.
yeah, like I literally started crying. She was like, "You're okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine." Like I kind of like every time I talk about it, I tear because it shouldn't be that way. It should not be that way that we have to feel that like our kids and we are not important. I mean, amazing mother, but she also needs to feel beautiful for herself, for her husband, for everything. If you feel beautiful, it makes the whole situation different. The way you're going to look at yourself, the way you're going to be confident in yourself, the way you're going to treat other people because you feel so good. So you're going to make sure everyone else feels good just like you do. It makes such a different aura when you feel amazing about yourself and confident. From then on, I was like, okay, we're doing the right thing. Like that, like I was just like, she walked out with the wig. She still texts me all the time how beautiful
Wow.
it is and how she's loving it. And that's like 5 years ago. So yeah, Baruch Hashem. Like I know we're doing the right thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That is so I'm actually kind of like speechless. That actually makes me sad that and I know that that woman's not the only one that
Yeah.
will they don't feel beautiful. They don't They're not even wearing their real hair color. They're probably not feeling like themselves 100%, but they're dedicated to their Judaism and they're dedicated to their families. So they, that's tough. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for taking care of Jewish women. Just from me to you, from Rachalea to Hani. Forget this interview
I'm
for a second.
honored.
Thank you. Really, thank you. You're doing,
Always honored. And
uh,
this is my shluchus now. I feel like, I
it
have a brother on
is.
shluchus in Guatemala and he's doing the craziest stuff. But then I'm like, you know what? Each one of us have a shluchus. You are doing these podcasts and bringing life and knowledge to people. And if this is what you see, I didn't think of doing this, but this is what I'm doing. This is my shluchus to make women wear hair, to feel beautiful, confident, everything in between. And it's crazy. We all have a shluchus. So
Well, I want to thank you for yours because it's so, so, so important. Also, I have more questions for you, but I would just want to say that it's more than just wearing a wig. It's also Jewish women's relationship with Judaism and God. Again, I was just speaking to I speak to women about hair covering all the time, and she's just bitter about Judaism now. Like, she just feels, I think, taken advantage of maybe, or I'm not sure exactly. And I don't want to
yeah,
blame, like, I don't know why I really want to focus on you. I'm not even sure why wigs are so expensive, but I
because
hear from a lot of women that they just feel like kind of taken advantage of and they get bitter about Judaism itself. It's not just the wig wearing. It's like, this has brought so much stress into my life. My husband and I fight about it because we're fighting about our bills. And, money is a huge part of marriage.
of
Um,
course,
so that's incredible.
no, I totally agree. Like I'm saying, even like me, okay, when you go back and they're like, this is how it is. I don't like how it is. So something's off. Also, customer service for us is like a big deal. We'll go above and beyond for you until you're happy. Like call us, like get nervous, like, now with the lace, you make the hairline. And they're like, oh, but what if I don't like it? I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, girl, if you don't like it, we're changing it. She's like,
Wow.
really? You would do that? And I'm like, what do you mean? You're paying, or like when I give back even like hair, okay, they take out hair and I give it back to them. They're like, you're giving it back to me? I'm like,
I'm
you
actually crying. I'm crying.
oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't
That's
want to make you
really
cry.
special. No, no, I cry all the time, but I cry about things that make me that feel special, and that's really, really special.
No, it's just like, I'm like, you paid for this hair. Why wouldn't I get, no, so like most places don't give it back. I'm like, it's
They
literally
don't.
part of the money you paid for. You keep it, you take it. If you need to ever put it back in, we're always here. A lot of services we actually don't even charge, which I know a lot of places do. Even like a little simple thing of like tightening a lace, like it takes 2 seconds. Like, why are you charging so much? Like, for all these little things, I just don't believe in everything you need to make a quick buck. Sometimes it's okay to be a decent person too. Um, so that's
It's
where we're at.
revolutionary. Unfortunately, that's where we're at. Well, from Rachalea, thank you from the depths of my heart. Thank you for your work. I can't even because I have my own feelings about this, which I'm not going to share at this moment. But tell me, what did you mean about people? And I'll get to customer service in a minute, also because I have nightmare stories just for myself. Nightmare stories like where I've again cried because the Shaitelmacher wouldn't take back the wig and it didn't fit my head and the hairline was wrong and they just kind of like, you're on your own. You paid me, and if you want me to take it and fix it another, $600, and I don't have the money. And then it's like, you have to wear something that doesn't fit right. So we'll get to customer service in a minute because that's a huge part of this whole challenge for women. But what did you
Correct.
mean that people, say things that are negative? Because I can't imagine anyone saying anything negative ever about your business. Or I guess I'm
Oh.
naive. You're like, yeah, you're naive. So tell me more about that, please.
Okay, so when you're always trying to change the world, I kind of connect to the Rebbe in this way. It's like when the Rebbe all of a sudden brought like mifsaim and like different types, like lighting candles, putting on tefillin on non-religious people, right? Everyone talked down of other communities to the Rebbe. Like, what do you mean you're gonna do that? Like, what?
Mm,
Like, what are these ideas that you're bringing new? Like, it's very weird. So it's the same idea. I feel like, especially comes from the wig industries. It's a really like cutthroat business. I've realized that like people will tear you down. They don't want you to do good, which is
wow.
sad. Yeah, they want obviously people paying 7, 8, 9, 10 to apparently there's up to 15. So grand, I'm talking about. Like they want you to pay that and they want people to fall for that. Or I get it, they also want to sell. But the
Yeah.
difference is there's making money and there's abusing and taking advantage. It's kind of like my sister-in-law, like who's having a bar mitzvah. She's like, whoa, like fill in our, I don't know how much now. It's crazy from when my brothers of like years ago. I'm like, sadly, they know that they could do it and everyone will have to buy it anyway. So they're
Mm-hmm.
just going with it
Mm-hmm.
and everyone's gonna have to pay for it. And it's really sad. Like some people like really can't. You don't know how many like moms they hug me. They're like, thank you so much. Like I just and our prices are super cheap and people always, oh, it's processed. Oh, it's plastic hair. Or it's this and like other brands will say that about me and I know that and they think I don't know. I just like pretend and smile and I'm just like, I have the Rebbe's bracha.
Wow.
Goodbye. So like you can talk all the bad you
You
want.
go, girl. I love that.
My
I have
mom
the
and her
Rebbe's bracha.
confidence literally put it in me. And it's very hard. It's very hard to stand strong. Like people were discussing a situation and they're like, Connie, what do you think about these two wig makers happening? And they're going back and forth. And I'm like, people want to tear each other down. I feel like everyone has parnasa. Everyone, Hashem gives a place for everybody. To go stop like talking bad about the different things. I mean, it is what it is. There will always be people who will
Yeah.
talk bad, no matter if you do good or bad in the world. Sadly, that's how I learned. And I learned the hard way because I'm like, here, I'm trying to change the world in the beginning of the years, like, and some people just want to tear you down. And I'm just like, it's interesting. Like, you should be like going with it, but no, they don't want you to change the industry. They
Well,
want you
maybe
to,
it's because of what you said, probably. They don't want the industry to change because they're the old guard. They want people to pay the thousands and thousands, and you're giving women a different option. And so maybe you're
correct.
just threatening their taking advantage of other people.
Yes, and it's crazy. 6 years in, I do see the difference. It's
Really.
insane. I've never shared it with anyone, but anyone who's going to listen to this podcast, I can like kind of say most people in where I live in Crown Heights or different places that have reached out to me. Like I have big brand names who've reached out, and I'm very picky on who I choose because I do have shekels let's say in LA, Chicago. I do pick whoever I am going to work with. They have to be a nice person, not just sell quick buck, buy. I'm never seeing you again. That's not what I want. I wanted someone nice. But what I did realize is all of a sudden in the last, let's say, year and a half, all these brands are having a new line, a cheaper line, $3,000, 2,500, still cheaper. Like we're still cheaper than all of that, but I'm saying like, and like from 10 grand, 7 grand, all of a sudden they're opening all these new lines. And like me and my mother laugh. We're like, I'm curious why. It's because people realize they don't want to pay for that. You also want to switch your wig every few years. And I'm like, this is the revolution we tried to create. And I see like it happening and me and my mother laugh all the time. We're like, it's awesome how it worked. Like people
That's
realize,
that's
yeah,
incredible. That is so. So are some brands really just taking advantage of Jewish women? Is that what's happening? I actually spoke to before you answer that. I spoke to a very very expensive wig company got in touch with me a few months ago. They wanted to work with me. They wanted to send me a few wigs actually, $8,000 each, and they said, "Why don't you wear them?" And I was so tempted because I don't want to pay for shadels.
of
and
course.
and the ones that I work with, when my shadels are whatever, they're all just expensive. And I didn't even know that you had existed. And if I did, I would have come to you when I was married. I just didn't know. I don't know. I don't live in Crown Heights. You're in Crown Heights, right? In Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm in Crown Brooklyn.
Okay.
But I have a lot of Floridians literally coming in here for a day just to pick out a sheitel and leave. It's crazy.
Well, honestly, I'm coming to you. I'm the next Floridian to come in for the day. But I just didn't know your brand existed, and I'm so excited that people will start to. I know a lot of people know who you are. I just, I didn't live in Crown Heights, but this brand, what was I saying? They wanted to send me some wigs, and I would be like one of their ambassadors, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I was talking. I deliberated for like a month. I kept stalling. Should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? I just couldn't. I couldn't get behind an $8,000 wig when women like they cannot feed their children if they want a nice wig. It just
Correct.
and I wasn't sure. And I discussed with this founder. I said, I want you to tell me the truth. Are your wigs actually worth $8,000, or are you hiking up the price because it's a business? Like a and we talked about it, and this person was like, no, we're not taking advantage of anyone. We do only luxury. I don't know. It's very confusing to me. It didn't do it in the end, obviously, because I hear from so many women like,
That shows you're an
I
amazing
can't.
person. That
Thank
really
you.
does because I'm an influencer too. Most of them, like it's hard to like trust because they're like, oh, it's just 8 to 10 grand. Like it's not easy for people to just have that, and you're wearing it
Yeah.
and you chose not to have that. That shows who
I
you are.
just couldn't, I could not do it. I couldn't wear an $8,000 mitzvah. I just couldn't. And I don't know I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I don't know. I just know how I felt about it. And it felt like it was crossing on my values, on my boundaries. And specifically because women come to me and say, Rachalea, you preach about Judaism. I can't afford Judaism. I can't afford It's sad.
It is.
So this person was defending themselves to me like, no, we don't take advantage of anyone and people accuse us and we're not going to stand for that. And I was like, okay, so we didn't work together. But
You're amazing.
I thank you. But I'm asking, I don't know how much you know about this. I know that you're in the industry. So what is happening? Like even wigs that are $3,000, that's a lot of money still. And by the
Yeah.
way, it could be that 3,000, that's just how it is. And they're not taking, what's your take on this? Are women being taken advantage of? Is our anger really, what I'm trying to ask is our anger justified? Women are really, really angry. Are they being taken
Yeah,
advantage of, or is this just
totally.
the wig industry?
Totally. You are totally justified because this is why we started. Like our wigs were like $1,500, 16, 1,800. That's like a super long wigs, 1,800. You know what I'm saying? Like
Wow.
people are just like, what? Like how? And I'm just, oh, it's plastic. It's not real. No. And then someone else was like, oh, so this big industry, like they buy from them this hair. And I'm like, I literally buy from the same place. She's like, what? You buy
No
from there?
way.
I'm like, yeah. Just her wig is 15 grand and mine is 1,500. Um, and they were shocked. I'm like, yes, it's like we get Brazilian hair. We don't do anything. Um, we do some here, and depending on the colors, and a lot in Brazil. So people are like, "What do you mean Brazil?" I'm like, "I do Brazilian hair. I do the same thing. There's no one in between." So let's say when it comes to like schetelmachers, they need to make money, and the brand needs to make money. Here, Sheeba Wigs is only us. It's me, my mom. I have workers in another room. I have tons of
Hmm.
hair, just like you see in the back, just hair that we're sewing. So everything is done here or in Brazil. Like it's not a middleman.
I
And
see.
so the middleman, needs to make money and the brand. That's why they hike it up. So like even me, like when people were like, okay, so if I take your wigs, I'm just letting you know, even I gave them like a super cheap price to like take the wig, which was almost like my cost price type of thing. They're like, okay, so I'm hiking it up like 15 to $2,000. And I'm like, why are you doing that? So they're like, why? Because I need to make money too. And I'm like, but I'm giving it to you for so cheap. You have to make that amount. And they're like, yeah, I mean, this is how it is. I was also part of like a group here for 5 seconds, I would say. They're all discussing how much they need to make. Like, I'm like spilling tea. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be like totally like canceled after this. But they say like if they don't make like, a good $1,000 or more on each wig, it's not worth it for them to sell.
Oh my
I'm like, if
gosh.
I make 20 bucks, I'm so happy. Like, like, because I know what I'm like, I don't make millions out of this thing. That's why people are just like, wait, I don't understand how you're still in business. I'm like, I really say it's because of the Rabbi's Bracha. Like, I'm just trying to help women feel beautiful. And at the end of the day, also when you're cheaper, people want to buy more and keep coming back. So that's also another like thing people don't realize. Like when it's $8,000, they're not going to be able to spend for another 5 years.
So this is shocking. So we are spilling tea, and I'm okay with it if you are. So you're
Totally.
seeing behind the scenes. You see behind the scenes, and you're saying they are hiking up the price so that they can make $1,000 on each person purchase, something like that.
Thousand or more. I'm just like saying like or a little
Yeah.
bit less, but around they need to make a good amount of money for them to have a good lifestyle. I don't know. Sometimes I see like I've never been traveling so much and I search in once and I'm like, wow, now it makes sense. Like they make a nice amount. And it's so crazy because I know where the hair is from and like a lot of people will get it in other countries, which I'm not gonna mention, but I like here, like especially like I get it from Brazil. I actually get almost the same hair. It's actually I can't mention her, but it's like her brother-in-law who like sells it to me and she has a massive brand in Israel. And like people just don't understand. Like, how do you have
Her
the same
prices are way
hair?
higher than yours, and you
Way
have
higher.
basically the same hair.
Yes. Her like brother-in-law sells us the hair. And like they have like a whole like family like in Brazil and whatever. So like he knows my mom, so he like does it too and whatever. It's just people are just like, it feels like her wigs. I'm like, yeah, like I don't go further, like because I never talk bad about any brand. That's
Yeah.
something that I'm
Yeah.
very strong on. Like I don't have to bring someone down to make me feel better or to make the person or acknowledge the person. Like when people are like, "Oh, this place was so bad," I'm like, "I'm so sorry you experienced that, but I hope you can have a better experience here." Like that's what I'll say. I will not go further. It's not my place. That's why like it hurts sometimes. Where now I'm stronger, but in the beginning, where people are like, "Oh yeah, her hair is processed." Her hair is plastic. Her hair is this. And that's why I'm like, really? If my hair is plastic, I'm processed. And like all those things. I mean, there's people like I know someone in mind, she bought my wig literally before Sheba was a Sheba. Like it was just like before Sheba. And she still wears it every single day. She's like, honey, this is the only wig I wear. So I'm like, if it was so plastic, then like, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't last that long, you know? Or when people are like, oh, it's permed. Do you know what a perm is? A perm feels like a brush and like a broom after like a few months. I've done it, so I can say. And then the curls tend to like come out after 6 months to maybe a year. And like my feels like 4 years old. You know what I'm saying? So like people just kind of want to say things. And I'm like, it's okay, say it, do what you want. But I'll never talk bad about any brand. Because you know, everyone does their thing. Like there's a specific brand that everyone's like, oh my God, she charges such a crazy amount. How can she do that? I'm like, why are you complaining? She wants to charge that price. She'll charge it, but why are you going there? Try to find a better place, like, to, you know, to get cheaper. Like, do you feel more validated if you pay 10 grand? Like, do you feel better about yourself? Why do you feel like when you get engaged, that you need to go to this place of like 10 grand or 7 grand or whatever? Like, does that make you feel better? And you'll hear people's answers like, yeah.
They say that?
Yeah, they're like, you know, you think you're getting the best because you're gonna pay more. And I'm like, that's so sad that you feel that way. Like, my parents are immigrants, so like we never grew up on that. You know, like you okay, like so you can be like get a little cheaper, like you know, your world's not gonna collapse. And sadly, people also think that when they pay so much money, they're gonna get the golden service.
And
And
they're not.
it's not the case. And they come crying here, like, oh, you don't understand. I'm like everyone's therapy also.
They come to you crying. So these women are spending 10 grand and they think they're getting better service and better hair. And you're saying neither of those things are true.
Well, maybe
Sometimes.
some places have like good stuff, maybe, but from what I've been hearing, like a lot of places are just like they don't even look at me, or if they don't like it, they won't answer my phone calls. If I try to book another appointment, I'm like, what? Like here, we're always like, you know, you don't like something, come back in. I always say like try it for a week. If a girl wants to get a haircut and she's not sure, I'm like, let's cut a little bit, come back. And they come back and they're like, oh, and that's also something else. Like they'll be like, so how much was it for this? I'm like, what do you mean, how much was it? They're like, well, you just cut a little bit more. I'm like, I'm not charging you. You already paid me the last.
Wow.
They're like so like shocked. It's like a new thing for them. Like, what do you
Our
mean?
standards are so low. We were so used to being treated so badly, honestly, by a lot of people, not everyone, that
Yeah,
when someone treats us with like respect and dignity and isn't charging you $200 to take off an inch of hair,
something's off. Like, what? Are you sure?
yeah,
Like,
like what's the trick?
exactly.
Wow.
And it's so sad. It really is
Yeah.
so sad. Like, you know, or like people ask me my opinion on, like I said, like the Shades Marker. I'm like, why are you going to her? Like, just don't go. And you know what? She's catering to other people, and you don't have to be part of those people. And also, like this person that I'm thinking in mind specifically, you know, everyone's like, oh my God, it's insane that she charges this amount of money. I'm like, you know what? This like person that I'm thinking about specifically, she charges her prices. But I know that she's also a hard worker. Like I remember her from like day one, like in her basement or whatever. Like if she feels that she's valued that, she'll have those clients that will feel like they want that. But that doesn't mean that all of us need to now run to get 10 grand wigs or 15 or whatever because that will make us feel better. A lot of times it still
No.
feels like a hole in your pocket and a hole in your heart. So, um, yeah,
Resentment. True. So tell me about your wigs. I mean, you've spoken a lot about them, but I also want to hear like how many women are coming into your studio every day? Are they mostly from Crown Heights? Are they coming in? You said you have some Floridians. I'm going to be your next Floridian. I have to come to New York anyways. But even if I didn't, I still want to come. So tell me your studio, you know, you're in Crown Heights. What are your wigs? You know, I don't know. Tell me you have short wigs. You have, I know that you specialize in curly wigs, right? But you also have straight wigs. Can you tell me more about that?
sure. So it's so funny. It became that I specialize in curly wigs because I feel like people just didn't understand what curly is. Like a lot of times, if you see brands, the curls, and everyone's like, "Oh, I want this curly wig," and I look at it, and I'm like, "That's not curly. That's like curls on the bottom. Why are the curls only on the bottom? Like I had curly hair from the top. Like I want curly from
Yeah.
you.
You want
Like,
real curls.
is like curly from the top. My kids who have curly hair, my husband even, he has like an afro style hair. And like it's literally from the root. Like, and people just don't get it. And I think when they walk in, especially with their moms who have straight hair, they're like, what's the difference? Like I'm like, this is a wider curl and this is a smaller, bouncier curl. And they're like, Ma, she understands us. Like, so it became like that. I think because I really understand what a curly wig is and not three waves. Um, but I do sell all different types. I'll sell all different colors. Like behind me, you can see I have straight, I have wavy, I have bottom wavy, I have just waves on the bottom, I have curly on the top, I have curly starting mid, I have short, long, extra. We just made a 32-inch wig for a girl. It was crazy. But she's
Wow.
so tall. So like it works for her. Like on me, it would be like my whole body. I'm like five.
Yeah.
But we've done it all. So and we do skin tops. We have an influx of Williamsburg and Borough Park. I kid you not. Like it's so cute. It started from a few people and they work of word of mouth. They don't need social media. I kid you not. Everyone
Wow.
short, they need to have like their standard of like 16 inches or 18 inches, depending on how modern they are. But and they all get their curly wigs. They're like, no, we're more accepting to opening to having curly. So I kind of became like a curly in like place where people feel like it's not expensive, they can get a curly wig and it's real curls. But then I also have people with straight hair. They're like, Connie, like, would you cater to me? I'm like, of course I would. Why not? They're like, no, because everyone talks that you guys have curly. I'm like, I have all. I accept everybody with love. Um, but it just makes me that I do more curly, I guess, because I understand and I actually have curly. Like the excitement on girls' faces,
Yeah.
I have a curly wig, or half of them don't even think it's a wig, which is scary sometimes. But like, oh, your hair is out, and this is your like. I'm
It
like,
does not, you don't look like you're wearing a wig. A lot of people are going to listen to this on the podcast. They can't actually see you. It's amazing. I only know you're wearing a wig because I know who you are.
so even like my like kids' school, they'll be like, so you look like you dress modest. I just need to ask, is that a? I'm like, yes, it's a wig, and like. It was so funny. My brother-in-law's in-laws also are not religious, and he's like, I thought you were religious, and I'm like, I am. Like,
It's
do you not see my husband? Like my kids, like one of them is not upturned, so he doesn't have a yarmulke and anything like that. But my older one is 6 years old, and so like they're like they look like religious. What about you? And I'm just like I am. Or like, and when I had to like pick it up just to show, he's like oh he's like blocking his eyes. I'm like no, it's all good. Like everything's good. It's all covered. Or people think that I'm religious that I just don't cover my hair. Like I remember my husband's family. I went there for my brother-in-law's wedding a few months ago, and they have family from Israel. And when Omer told them like she works in wigs, he's like, I don't understand. How does she work in wigs if she doesn't wig?
I
I was like, what do you mean?
it's crazy. But is there any higher compliment than like your hair looks so natural that I can't tell you're wearing a wig?
Yeah, that's
That's
like
like the best thing.
the best because we're always self-conscious. Like, oh my God, people can see the lace, people can see this, people can see that. And then when people are like, oh my, like it's your worst day, and everyone's like, oh my God, your hair is stunning. I'm like, and I always answer, I made it myself.
Literally.
To Jews and non-Jews, anyone else just answer that, and they like so puzzled, like what? I'm just like, I made it myself.
But actually, you really did.
Yeah, so it's really cute. So we kind of cater to everybody, anyone who wants. We do it all: skin top, lace front, folded lace, lace ribbon. I've done all communities. I have literally from all over the world that, to the point that like there's a shulchan in Africa wearing my wig.
No way.
Africa, Scotland. I've got it. Like we
Oh.
need to make a map.
Well,
Um,
that is your hard work and the Rebbe's bracha. It must be. That's amazing.
And it's so funny. You might think that because I'm Chabad, it's most Chabad. It's actually my, I think most clientele is not Chabad.
Hmm.
Like, believe in us,
That is interesting.
do like everything they can. It's so interesting. I have Muncie all over here, Williamsburg, Bar Park. I'll have like Westchester, New Jersey, like so many people from different parts. Like Teaneck is one style, and then you'll have like Passaic, which is like more yeshivish. Like everyone has a different standard, a different style, and I have
Mm-hmm.
all those different standards and all those like different like little tweaks of like who has lace, who doesn't have lace, who I need to put a material, an extra material, like so many different. I already know now, like 6 years in, but I had to learn this all. It was like, there's so many different type of Jews. So it was pretty cool also to learn so many different Jews in my Judaism. Like
Yeah.
how people wear it differently, how people do different things, hair showing, not hair showing, falls, this, that. It's like so many different levels, and it's actually beautiful, like to see. Um,
That's beautiful and fascinating because we're all keeping the mitzvah. We're all doing the mitzvah, but we're keeping it in different ways. That is beautiful.
in our own way, which I tell everybody. They're like, "Oh, what would you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I can't answer that question because
Hmm.
that's you." Like I don't know. Like right away when I'm like putting on the wig and they want to pull some hair, they're like, "Oh, is it like okay?" I'm like, everyone is up to their own standard. I'm not going to be the rabbi here and tell you no, not to do, yes to do. What I do tell them is usually like aligning. It's usually a halacha is like, not to see through your wig. And then I also tell them it also benefits your wig. So if whatever way you want to look at it. So then they all laugh and they're like, okay, we'll do it anyway. I'm like, okay. Like I always make sure before I do something, it's not too much and not too little. I'm a very detailed person. So I will go into detail for everything to make sure it's exactly how you want, halacha standard, not halacha, like whatever you want, like I'll be there. Um, yeah, because everyone's different and not no two people are the same.
Hmm. That's amazing. I'm just going to keep saying, wow, that's amazing. Because it really is amazing. It's also just like, I have a very strong sense of justice and just knowing that you exist and that your brand exists and that women have an option. That's really the most important thing. They have somewhere to go. They have someone that understands them. That it's just like a relief. It's hard to explain.
My motto is Sheeba Wigs is based on trauma. So I understand. Everyone tells me these stories. I'm like, girl, I've been there. I know. I've got screwed over with two wigs.
But how sad is that, Khani? I don't know if I should call you Khani or Sheba. I'm just going to call you Khani for now. How sad is that? That what bonds all of us women when it comes to this mitzvah is that we all have trauma around it.
It's
It's
sad.
terrible. It's sad to me that it's
We're
become
laughing
like
about it as a
unpleasant.
joke, but it's not cool. Like it should have been that way. It shouldn't have been that way. It's cool though that girls like, everyone's like, oh, you always hate your first wig. And when I hear girls like, I never hate my first wig, it's a Sheba and it's the best wig I've ever worn. And I have another one that I never wear. And it just like makes my heart glow. Like this is what I'm not trying to put myself up there. I'm just saying like this is what our goal was, is that people don't need to have trauma in order to do something, which I do think the person who didn't take care of me, because if not, this wouldn't be open. So
Yeah,
there's gratitude to that, but
sure. Like, thank you for traumatizing me. So, as we close this off, I want the women who are actually looking to cover their hair and to buy wigs. Maybe you can tell them, what the lengths of the wigs. I know I asked you a lot of already, but the prices, the colors. If like a color makes it different, a lot of people they don't know. I have a lot of women who listen to me who want to cover their hair and they haven't yet. So maybe you can just tell them like practically when they come in, what they're gonna, what's gonna happen, what's the process like, how much do you think they'll be spending, different lengths. I know you said that some women from Borough Park come in shorter, and then you have this other woman who is like a 32-inch wig, which is so amazing. That would also cover like my whole body. Maybe you can just tell us practically, practical details.
sure. So when someone comes in, we a first don't charge for content. I think that's like what, again, not making a quick buck. So people right away like ask us that, and I'm like, no way. Even if you don't walk away with a wig here, we also do not pressure anybody at all. Like girls will come back 5 times and they're like, you don't hate me by now? I'm like, no. Like it's a wig, even if it's $1,800, 15, 16. Like it's still money, hard-earned money that we work hard for in this economy. It's everything hard, and I get it. I've been there. We're making $400 a week, like I know what it is to make little money and not have any. And like, so I get it. Value of money for me and my parents, especially I keep saying are immigrants, but they're actually American citizens now, but they brought us on this lifestyle of just because it could be this way doesn't mean it should be this way. Like, you don't need to spend all your money and just go, money is valuable. And so even if it's cheap, it's still something. So um, you come in here, you get an appointment. I usually am the one greeting the people, depending on the hours, because I am a mommy of 2 kids. So
Oh,
so later hours usually like will probably not be me, but I'm even working Sundays and Fridays, like literally because I know people want to meet me and people want to see me. So they come in, they say everything that they want. I say like the mic is on you. You tell me what you feel, what you want. Some brides will say, I don't know. Some brides will say, okay, I have exactly to the T. And so I will Usually it's crazy. I guess so many years doing this already. Like I will match the girl to her hair of what she wants, and it's always the first pick that I put on their head that they're like, oh my God, this is what I want.
Wow.
I'll make them try another five or six. I don't give brides especially so many because it's so confusing already. But they're like, no, I like this one. I'm like, I know, but I don't want you to be like, Connie didn't give me other options. So I make them try others, but it's funny. It's always the first one. And then comes payment. So we work with honestly every organization possible. So people were like, oh, I have a voucher. Like, do you take? I'm like, of course I take it. Why wouldn't I take it? It's the same thing. She's like, no, other places
Wow.
give me problems. I'm like, why would they give you a problem? So we work with every organization possible. Tanyad, Simchas Meir, like anyone I'm like on top of my head right now, those two are like always in touch with me. So we'll always like work with them. Um, and payment plans if they need. We definitely do that. We work it out. And like people are like, oh, so what do you do? I'm like, whatever works out for you, your budget. So if you can do every 3 weeks or every 1 month or every month and a half, like we'll go with there until you can get your wig paid. And usually most of the times I end up lowering the price also because it breaks my heart like when someone like, has to struggle. Like I know what
Wow.
struggle is and I don't like it and I'm just like no. So our wigs they usually start, I mean even super super short would say could start at 1,000, 1,200. Like I would say this length is about 14, 15, a little longer, 16. So it's really on the length more than the color. Like I do so many redheads. Apparently I'm also known to do that. I didn't know, but
Really? Oh, you do it
yeah.
now.
So the red are natural, all virgin hair. Okay. Blondes are where it gets tricky. Our blondes are colored. We take the lightest brown and we color them. The reason being is because it's very hard to find a blonde. Me being blonde, and my two kids being blonde, like our blondes are all different. So there's no like exact blonde of the exact same thing. So it's very hard. Even if I went to Switzerland, I wouldn't find like like I wouldn't even find the curly. I would find a straight wig. Straight is much easier than curly. So we usually take a lighter brown that's virgin and we color it a blonde. Most people don't care, especially the blondes. They know that. They know that it's super hard to find. Um, so I would guess that would be the word of process, or colored. It's a virgin piece, but it was colored. Versus the rest of the pieces are literally cut off people's heads and
So
thrown.
your wigs are virgin wigs?
People have this conception that it's not because it's super cheap. And I'm here to say that it is.
I'm in shock. I'm in shock that you sell virgin wigs for $1,400. I
Yeah.
can't find any under, tw- not even, because the one I'm wearing is not virgin and it was 2,500. Um, wow. Oh
Yeah.
wait, maybe not this one. Whatever. Other wigs that I have, I can't remember.
Like people also don't
Wow.
understand the concept of virgin and process. It's like people just throw it out there and they just don't understand that concept too, which is like a whole other thing. Or like I remember when people are like, virgin wigs don't oxidize. And I'm like, your own hair oxidizes, man. So, like in the summer, I used to love like being in the sun. And now my like son, I do that too because I love the summer. And when it comes, I'm like, okay, I'll just root the top. But it gets super orange or very like this wig tends to get more white, like a white blonde.
Mm.
And I just laugh when people tell me that. And then it took like one big wig person to say that. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, now virgin and processed get colored and like oxidized. And I'm just like, okay. Like like our common sense.
Ignore the haters.
Yeah, no, but you just need common sense, I feel like in wigs. Like people will believe anything they're told and it shouldn't be like that. Like I'm like literally cutthroat. Like when people are like, oh, this and that, I'm like, really? Like who told you that? Like, oh, I learned from that. I'm like, I'm so sorry to break it to you, but it's not really like that. And then they realize like what I'm saying and they're like, oh my gosh, it's actually accurate. And I'm like, yes. Um, so I'm very honest here. If something doesn't look good on you when you are in a consult with me, I will say it. They're like, you don't think I should go this color? No. No, you should not. I love you. You're a gorgeous woman, but no. I think you need to go more this, this, and this. They're like, you know what? You're right. Thank you for
Well,
being honest.
it's a kindness because they're spending hard-earned money, and why waste it on something that doesn't look good?
Correct. I had that also. I don't understand. Like when I got married, like people were like, um, it looks like you look sick. I'm like, I don't understand how the woman like sold me a blonde that made me look sick. Everyone used to ask me, even with full face of makeup, how horrible I looked. So, I
Wow.
really believe when I'm here, like I will be telling you the honest truth, so be ready. But I'm nice about it.
But that's a kindness. Wow. Connie, thank you so much. I really mean this. Words that emanate the heart, from the heart, penetrate the heart. I really mean it when I say thank you. And
Absolute pleasure.
I'm sure, like, this, what you're doing, I imagine, I actually oftentimes, this is a weird thought for me that I have a lot. I wonder what makes God happy. Like, I wonder how I can make, not God, like, I wonder how I can make God happy. I give God nachas. I really think this is, you're doing it. I imagine you just, God is just shining on you and is proud of you and is happy with what you're doing with your energy and your powers and your personality. This is so amazing. And it's an honor to work with you and that you wanted to collaborate with us. Thank you. And thank you for what you do for Jewish women. And I just want every Jewish woman to know that you're there in Brooklyn. I just want everyone to know.
Thank you. You're gonna make me cry. This was like an honor to be here and to just share with the world that like you aren't the only one struggling. There are others out there just like you, and we're
Yeah.
trying to change the world one wig at a time.
It's amazing. And God willing, I would love to come to Crown Heights and see you and meet you and come to your studio and pick up a wig for myself. And actually, I'm thinking no one else needs to know about this, but I would like to actually bring real cameras into your studio and do a real podcast sitting down there. I will
Oh,
email you about that if you're up for it.
that'd be so awesome, girl. I would love it. I would love to meet you in person too, because you are changing the world, literally. With your knowledge and your words and just the way you speak is like insane. I'm always obsessed following you. So this was so awesome. And I'm honored and thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing. And God willing, we will meet in New York. Thank you so much for coming on. It was so nice to meet you,
Thank
really.
you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.